Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the Mary D Show. My name is Mary D Welch, and I'm always happy to see all of you here. It just touches my heart every Monday, anytime we can be here. And it's another beautiful Monday, ladies and gentlemen. I say that every Monday. Don't I say that every Monday? But it is. It is truly a beautiful Monday. I would like to first, I'd like to thank our viewers. Number one, those of you that are watching live, thank you, everybody. And then I also want to thank our replay viewers. We have replay viewers, people that come on after the show has been broadcast, and they still come by and watch the show. Thank you, replay viewers. We appreciate each and every one of you. Now, I would like to also thank our sponsors for today's show. Our sponsors for today's show are the following. They are the Idea Club, and the Idea Club president is Dumas Martin Jr. If you are interested in having a 501c3, an LLC, limited liability corporation, or an S Corp or C Corp, you want to contact theideaclub.com. And the president is Dumas Martin Jr., and he can help you organize any of those. And I can tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, the man is just a wealth of knowledge. You definitely want to get in contact with Dumas. Next, if you're interested in writing your first book, if many of you have ideas about writing books, I mean, brilliant ideas, but for some reason, you just haven't had a chance to write them down. Take the time, ladies and gentlemen, and come into First Book Academy and learn how to write that first book. You'll be amazed. I think we make it harder than what it is, but you definitely want to do that if you're interested in writing a book. Next, we have the Henderson Real Estate Team. .info, the Henderson Real Estate Team.info. If you're buying or selling a home, you want to contact the Henderson Real Estate Team. They can help you with that. We also have First Fridays Travel. If you're interested in travel insurance, you will go to First Fridays Travel and get your travel insurance there. Next, we have Sutton Insurance Services.com. Sutton, Sutton Insurance Services, SCVS.com. When you contact them, if you want life insurance, you're looking for homeowners insurance, if you're looking for car insurance, contact Sutton Insurance. And if you're interested in traveling, let's say you want to go on a trip, go to welchtraveltours.com, welchtraveltours.com, and you can book your travel right there on the internet. Also, one of our sponsors for today, and I mentioned this before, but I'm always trying to share with you, ladies and gentlemen. And before I go into this, I'm going to introduce our guest for today, which I'm really excited about. This is a story I don't really share with people because it touches my heart and is near and dear to me. But I'm going to share it with you guys because, we got it like that. So I'm going to tell you. Those of you that say, well, I don't own a home, but this is what I always say. If you own a home or you know someone who does, at some point in time, ladies and gentlemen, that person will no longer be alive. And that maybe that's you, or maybe that's the person you know. The home is going to go somewhere. No, it doesn't just sit there indefinitely. So either someone is going to be able to purchase it, or the case may be if they cannot purchase it, maybe they can. I said if they can't and not purchase it, maybe it's going to be given to a family member. This is what now. There's a few ways they can do that. They can put that person's name on title to the property. You don't want to do that, by the way. That's one way to do it. Another way they can do it, ladies and gentlemen, they can put their name on title, or they can give the property to them as a gift. Now, I would encourage you to know, or let you to understand there's different ways it can happen. Or they can create a trust. Usually people go to an attorney and they can create a trust. All of those ways, depending on what you want to do, are available to you. Now, as many of you may know, I did write a book. And why I shared this book with you is because I've gone through this personally. And I don't like to say that, but it's true. And I don't want anybody else to have to go through it. I will honestly tell you, it is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And that is because, and I will share this with you, my mother did have a will. Let me say that. She did have a will, but even if you have a will, the will must be probated, meaning it goes in front of a judge. Now, why is that significant? That means that even though whatever that will may say or may not say, it's up to the judge to decide who receives that property or how that property is distributed. It is up to a judge and ultimately make that decision. Now, I said all that to say, in this book, I know I'm just, it may seem like I'm self-serving, but the truth of the matter, I'm really not. This is going to help somebody. Let me just say this. I promise you, so far, I cannot tell you how many families I've helped with this. And that's because they were able to get the form. Because in the book, let me put the book up as I showed it to you before. There we go. Save Your Home from Probate. You just go to saveyourhomefromprobate.com, and there you'll find, you can click and go to Amazon and get the book. Is that important? It can be to the family. It eliminates a lot of issues, a lot of ambiguity of grandma said this or grandma said that, and grandpa promised me this and that. It takes that out of the equation, especially when there's property involved. Usually property is the biggest thing that we own. So that's why I wanted to share that with you. Now I'm going to introduce to you our special guest for today. I'm very excited because I've known this gentleman for a long time. I mean, we've known each other, we're going to talk about it, but for a few years. His name is Wallace J Allen IV. He is the founder of J.W. Allen Multimedia Productions Incorporated. He's the publisher of Westside Story newspaper and the host of Inland Empire's Talk Back radio and TV programs, and the president of the Improve Association, a 501c3 nonprofit corporation that facilitates benevolent capitalism. He has written and published 2 books of poetry, one titled Mirrors for Eyes and the other Libra Moon. The unyielding support of his wife, Josephine, he began publishing Westside Story newspaper, and I'll put that in the how you can get to the Westside Story, from his garage in 1987. Whoa, you didn't tell me that. 10 years later, he began to produce a weekly radio broadcast titled Empire Talks Back and launched a website, www.westsidestorynewspaper.com. In 2016, we increased our outreach by adding a cable TV version of Empire Talks Back that is produced in and broadcast from the city Rialto Public Access TV studio. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor for you to meet our guest for today, Mr. Wallace Allen. Are you there, Wallace?
God is great. I'm extremely grateful for being able to be here with you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And we have comments. We have Richard Nichols that said, hello, Mary. Hi, Richard. Welcome to the show. And we have Shelley Dansby. This is Dr. Shelley Dansby, by the way. And she says, happy Valentine's Day Monday. Oh, from Dr. Shelley Dansby, South Sierra. Mary, you are doing a great job. Oh, thank you for the show. You're welcome. You're so welcome. And happy Valentine's Day to everyone today. We wanted to say that. Well, I will say, Wallace, I mean, when I tell you, maybe you remember, before we get into your back, when did we first meet each other, Wallace? How many years ago? Do you remember that?
I possibly do. But
you?
The thing I remember most is
that
you have never been self-serving, and that if you don't supply yourself with the oxygen first, you may not be in position to help someone else with it. So push the book, push the information, and if it appears to be self-serving, remember that yourself is your community. You've always been that way. I don't see how you can eat, because I know that every time you take a spoon, you want to give a spoon. So you're good. Don't worry about that. I think we all know you well enough that even if you are self-serving, it's because we haven't served you enough, and you've served us well for a long time. So God bless you. Thank you for letting me be on your show. And I'm sorry I don't remember exactly when we met. Okay. I don't remember many things. But that just comes along with getting old enough to forget. That's all.
That's okay, because if I remember it, I think it was around the time I was doing First Fridays, though.
Probably so.
Probably because I was putting ads in newspapers, and I think it was around that time.
Well, don't make it sound like I don't remember you buying an ad now. I definitely value those kind of relationships. And if I forgot, it was My fault.
No, don't worry about it. Well, let me say this too, because we found out not before we came on the show that we're both Mississippians.
Yes,
So,
you,
hmm
me, Snoop Dogg, Brandy. Uh, Snoop Dogg and Brandy are supposedly from Macomb, Mississippi, where I'm from.
oh, okay.
Brandy is for sure. I'm not sure about Snoop Dogg. Some people say he's been born elsewhere, but he's traveled back to Macomb, Mississippi several times.
Oh, okay, okay. And so is it Samuel? No, is it Samuel Jackson? No, not. It's one of the actors is from.
Morgan
That's who it
Freeman.
is. That's who is Morgan. In fact, the county that I was born in, he's from that county. He's
See,
from Clarksdale, Mississippi. That's where he's
very
from.
good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So I tell you, we got a few people on the map.
Well, it's not just the people that are from Mississippi that's important. It's
Mhm.
the people who go back to Mississippi that get to
Oh.
be important.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Because that means you remember what it was like and you are there to celebrate the changes, but you have to be part of the change. You can't just go and expect that things are different. But things are different. They're not as different as they need to be. But something about when you're in Mississippi, you're not expecting to be in California. But
Right.
sometimes when you're in California, you're not expecting to be in Mississippi, and you find that you are very, very much
I
almost in
know.
Mississippi.
I
Isn't that
know.
something? Yeah, yeah.
That's what I tell you because I came as a child. My parents brought me here, so I've been raised. But this is what I always tell people. I may have been raised in California, but I was raised by Southern parents. So all the upbringing has been that Southern upbringing, and it's done well for me. I mean, as far as communicating, people, and no one's a stranger, as you know. In the South, there are no strangers. Everybody, you say hi, whether you know people or not. You speak. That's just who you are.
Yes.
Mhm.
If your children aren't asking you, who was that daddy? You're
Mhm.
not speaking to enough people in their presence
You're right.
because they should be
Mhm.
seeing you reach out
Yep.
and understand that other people are possibly a good extension of you. If you reach out
Mm.
and find out who they are,
Right.
provide your service, and they almost automatically will provide theirs. So to find good people, you have to be a good people.
Mm. That's true. Like you said, like attracts like. That's what it.
Like attracts like,
Yeah.
and you don't know, you opposites attract. That's where
Hmm.
the agitation takes place. And if you don't
Right.
have the agitation, you really have no basis for moving forward. This is
Uh-huh.
why I always say it doesn't do a lot of good to find yourself surrounded by people who agree with you,
Oh.
because, well, if all the people agree with you, there's only one, or there's only two chicken breasts, there's only one chicken back, there's only two chicken legs. So if you all like the same piece of chicken, you're going to end up arguing. So I think it's a good idea to have different perspectives,
Yeah.
different attractions,
Hmm.
and that way we can understand, appreciate, and take advantage of each other's different talents.
Mm. You're
Very
right.
important. Very
You're
important.
right. Well, we have here Charles Radney said, "Hello, Mary. Hello, Wallace. Wallace. Oh, you just say Wallace. The last time we saw each other was at the 1 million cups." So that's when Charles said he saw you last at 1 million cups. I don't think they've been doing 1 million cups ever since COVID. I don't know. I shouldn't say. I really don't know.
I'm not sure either, but
Okay.
Charles, I have to admit, I should say to you that I've seen you on my secret observation telescope several times. I follow you around. I know what you're doing. You may want to call me and be sure I don't put all of that stuff on the internet. I'm
Oh.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
I said,
kidding.
oh, when you said that, I
I'm
was
kidding. I'm kidding.
like,
I
okay.
I
Okay.
find that I have to be careful. I have this internal thing that wants to be funny all
Uh-huh.
the time, and it wants to move things around. And I say things with a very serious attitude sometimes when I'm totally playing.
And people
So
are like, okay.
yeah, and I'm finding that, wow, I have to be more careful, and I have to announce when I'm playing,
Oh,
because Charles Radney is a very wonderful man.
he
He's a very
is.
serious person. He's a
Uh-huh.
person that you should listen to and pay attention to.
Right.
So I don't want to do anything except play in terms of
Oh,
kidding about, anything that's less than efficient about
what?
him, anything that is less than confidence building. You should talk to Charles, you should listen to Charles, and you should take advice from Charles Radney. He's a good man.
All right. All right. Well, I can tell you, he's really Charles came. He's been on. He's already been a guest on the show, so we're
Okay.
always glad when he comes back. And always nice to see you, Charles. And we have Clifford Traylor. I think this is someone I used to teach with at Eisenhower High School. Thank you, Clifford, for coming in today. It's nice to see you. And then we have Richard Nichols. Richard said, "Mr. Wallace." Oh, it says, "Oh, me and Wallace just spoke the truth about you, Mary. Accept it and oh, I tell you, Richard. I tell you, I appreciate Richard so much, Richard. But I can tell you now, Richard can play some beer whist. This
And
is a
listen,
player.
as long as we don't mention dominoes,
Oh,
we're going to be okay.
is that your
Because,
game?
well, see, this is the thing that so many people don't understand,
Hmm.
that you really are supposed to have a license to play dominoes.
Oh my
And
goodness.
and people who play at a high caliber like I do don't get to don't get to play with just any old body. That's,
Oh my
it
goodness.
it could cause us to get sued. It could
Oh
cause
my.
all kind of things could happen to us if we just exhibit our expertise in front of amateurs.
I'm gonna
It's
tell
just it's a
I'm,
sad thing. It's a sad
Wallace.
thing.
I'm listening to you. You sound just like my Uncle Rose. My Uncle Rose. He actually told me this one time because I play beer whist. He said I tried to play dominoes, and he told me he just looked at me, and goes, "Stick with beer whist." He did. And he said it so because he could count. He knew what was in your hand, like yourself. And I'd be like, "How can you know?" He said, "I know because I know what you're not playing. That's
Now,
why I know what's in your hand." He would
smart
tell me,
man.
"I
Now
know."
he could get fined for simply having exposed that level of lesson to you without you having paid your certification fee.
Well, that's what he told me. He said that. And I remember going, Uncle Rose, because he's the one taught me beer whist. But
Well, you
he
go back to Uncle Rose and tell him that it's nice that he gave you that information, but
mm-hmm.
he should know that you've been telling everybody about it, and now he's at risk of losing his license.
No,
Rose,
unfortunately, he is.
Rose, does he spell that with two S's or one? Because I may
He's
feel like I might need to turn him in.
no, you can't do that. He's
We're
unfortunately
married.
he's passed on.
Ask me nicely.
And I would tell I would tell you because even when he said it, I'll never forget it because he was so serious. But when he taught me whist, he was so kind. Let me tell you that. I was only 8 years old, and he had 13, 14 children, and he
Oh my.
still took the time to teach an 8-year-old niece how to play cards.
Okay, with that information, I will not turn him in. I will allow I will allow him to continue to give away these secrets at his whim and desire. That's
Oh,
fine.
but thank you, thank you,
Yeah,
thank
that's okay. That's
you.
okay.
Oh,
But
and it's
let him know I'm giving him that favor.
okay. I will definitely keep that in mind. And then Clifford Trailer says, "Thank you for the invitation. Happy Valentine's Day to you, Clifford. Nice to see you." And Richard says, "Oh, we just spoke about." Okay, I'm gonna go. And Richard's comment is, "Where is Westside Paper located?"
Go to
So,
the website wssnews.com.
okay, let me put
Okay.
that up for you. I have it in
Now,
here.
if he wants to tell me where he travels to, I could tell him where he could pick up a
There
print
you go.
copy.
There you
But it's
go.
much
It's the
much easier to
website.
pick up the web copy. He could
Mhm.
text me his email address, and we'll email it out to him every week. That makes it easy, and I don't charge to do that. And since I'm talking about charging, let me say this:
Okay.
the lie that I just told you guys about my domino experience and expertise, I
Mm,
I told to a young lady recently. They're planning an event, and I just kind of went off when she mentioned dominoes.
uh-huh.
And I want you to know that after an hour after I told her that,
Uh-huh.
which I did during the break of my radio show, she was on the radio with me last week. She called me, and she called and said, "Mr. Allen, I'm calling because I want to be sure my event goes correctly. And who do I need to call about certification?" So I had to tell her I was totally kidding. I was totally lying
Oh,
and all of that because I did not want to.
Yeah.
push it too far.
I
But
know.
yeah, that's just I don't play dominoes anymore. And
Oh,
so since I don't play them, I talk like I play them. And I
right.
think most of us who really ever played, we get more fun out of talking about it than we do playing.
It's
Because
true.
I could talk to people across the country about how great I am
You know what it is?
and never have to prove it.
I was
And if
gonna
they
say,
call and say they want to play, I've already set the standard that says the police will not allow me to play you.
Wallace, you're wrong. You're wrong. Because people will say that when this is what I know. When people say about bid whist, when this is what I ask. I go, do you play bid whist? This is the truth. The minute they put their head down, this is I hate to say it. I'm gonna give you guys some secrets.
Say it.
They put their head down and they say a little bit. You better get scared. You better get scared because that person can play. You hear me? They're humble because they know they got to wait till those cards hit that table. But when a person puts their head down and they go a little bit, get scared.
Well, I'll tell you, I think you should get scared anytime that they tell you there is a Trump card that could be played.
You need to stop.
Because that lets you know that there is something unusual that can be brought into the usual flow to take it somewhere other than where it's supposed to go.
Well, let
That's
me say
called
this.
a Trump card. You don't want anything that has to do with any kind of Trump card.
Well, I'll tell you. You have okay. You were born and raised in Mississippi, correct?
I was born in Mississippi. I was raised in Joliet, Illinois.
Okay.
Okay, and I went back. Matter of fact, my first place I lived in Joliet, Illinois, was at 157 South Chicago Street. Okay, okay. This is my baby. This is my. This.
Oh.
Hold your head up so they can see it. That's my granddaughter.
Hi there, precious.
That's Faye Sarah.
Let me take. Oh, hi, beautiful. Let me
She's
take.
not gonna talk. I'm gonna give her back to her mommy.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. But that's my baby. That's my joy. That's the whole deal. But the reason I was bringing up 157 South Chicago Street is because that's an address I'll never ever forget because that's the first place I lived that I got lost from, and I got lost. I got lost in kindergarten.
How old were you?
I was in kindergarten. I was just a little smart butt boy who wouldn't wait for his cousin to walk him home.
What?
Wow. So I had waited for him for about 2 weeks. And, by that time, I'm looking at other kids walk home from school. I got out of class at, say, like 11, and Jackie got out of school at 11:30. And so I'm sitting around waiting well, one day I realized that I could find my way home. So I decided to follow.
Wow, I'm just
followed somebody else home. When he turned into I was just as happy walking 3 or 4 steps behind him. But when he turned off the sidewalk into his sidewalk that led to his house, I said, "That's not where I live." So I stood at the little intersection there, hollering and screaming. His mother came out. Poor little boy, what's going on? I'm feeling lost, man. So she walked me back to school. About that time, cousin Jackie was there looking for me, sweating and wondering what was going on. So naturally, he was going to tell now. He had to tell what happened. So when my father found that I got lost and I didn't know my address or my phone number, so it's 157 South Chicago Street, 72363 was the phone number. Didn't even have a what do you call it, preface at that time.
Right.
72376. That was that. And I know the address and I'll never ever forget it. And I love my dad for giving me that sense of security. Now I can go get lost anytime I want to.
But you know what it did? It scared them, Wallace.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, that's scary. That is and you, even though you knew you were lost, you didn't even know how to do. If she hadn't walked you back to the school, you probably couldn't have got back to the school.
Well, if I had looked through the haze of my tears, I could have figured it out.
If you're in kindergarten, you're not looking through the haze or nothing.
Well, I was I was smart, quote unquote, enough to want to go home and not be noted as a kid dumb enough to have to stand around and wait for his cousin to come get it.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so there's some penalty that goes along with those
Yeah.
um, undeserved attitudes.
Oh, well,
Okay,
well, I'm glad that they found you, or they or that you got found. Because I'll tell you, see how that's a story. That is a story. And
that
it's,
is one of the stories in my book that you're going to ultimately help me write because I don't have enough push to get it done. So
well, but you already authored 2 books.
poetry books.
And that's true. That's
That's a lazy novel because every poem is much longer in reality than it is in the poem.
got
The
it.
meanings are much deeper, and if I were not a lazy writer, I would have written that book now. But I've written some articles and some proposals and some things that I'm happy with. But there's a book or 2 or 3 inside that has not come out, and
It's coming.
I'm inspired by what you're doing, and I am gonna get busy on that
Good.
next week.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you. I hear it when I tell you. Literally daily, daily. I talk to people that want to write a book, and there's a secret to it. I can't reveal it right now. I actually
Can,
have another book coming out next week.
can
And
I tell you the secret?
oh,
We
okay,
want we want someone else to write it.
you're right. You know what it is? We think, no, it's not just we want somebody to do it. We think somebody else is going to write it. We think we have the idea, but we think, oh yeah, somebody else is gonna write it down. I know it's hard to believe, but it doesn't work like that.
I believe it.
It
I
doesn't.
believe that it doesn't work like that. It hasn't worked for me so far, but
You can do it though. I'm gonna tell you right now. And you know what? Probably for you, you have people always accuse me of this. I'm sure they accuse you of that. You have so many irons in the fire that people wonder. Do they ever ask you when do you sleep?
no, because people who know me know that I might go to sleep right in front of you.
So they know that.
it's it's true.
Oh, I
No,
understand.
no,
Oh,
I'm not afraid of the word lazy. Okay, I'm not
mm,
afraid of the word stealing leisure time. One of the things that I note about my parents,
mhm,
that generation,
right,
it came from a story that I'd be willing to tell again about working with my father. My father was a bricklayer. And by the time I was 12, 13, I could go on the job with him and
right,
keep 2 corners busy. And if it was really working, I could keep 3 corners busy unless we were up on a second floor.
right.
One of the things that about me is I like to get the work done and then sit down. So that's how I would do my father's job on the construction site.
Mhm,
And finally, my father pulled me over to one side. He said, "Listen, son, I'm glad to see that you're able to get your work done, but you're
right.
making my job look bad by
Mhm,
sitting around." And I
yeah,
said, "What does that mean?" He said, "You just can't sit around. People ride by, look at my work. They see you sitting down, they think that we're lazy."
right.
Okay. So lazy is a word that means a lot to black men
Yeah,
because it's a phony accusation.
right.
Okay. It's there's the governor of Florida right now is saying we don't want this education to take place that'll make our children feel ashamed and embarrassed about what they've done or what their ancestors did to black folk.
Right.
One of the things that they did was to be sure black people didn't get to sit down, sun up
Mm,
to sundown. As we tell the stories about the happy slaves, the, the slaves weren't old enough to get old. They
right.
took children. They worked children. When they discovered the slave cemetery in New York City, in Manhattan, They found that looking at all of the bodies, they were children. They were not old people. They were children who were malnourished, bent back, broken down like old folk, worked to death.
Mm,
A black person talking about sitting down and resting. I don't know if you remember this about your mother, but she probably never sat down.
that's
My
right.
mother, my mother, we have to almost tie her up to get her to sit down. She's 95 years old. When we walk, I'm going to go see her today. When we walk in the house, she's going to want to serve everybody. What do
Yeah.
you want? What can I do for you? I'd like for you to sit down.
Mm, this.
Parents of that generation before us, they
Hmm.
don't know how to rest. They get anxious if they don't have something to do. They have an internal button that says, keep moving. I don't
Yeah,
want them to think I'm lazy.
that's right. You're right.
Relax, relax, be lazy. Because inside of lazy is your imagination.
Hmm.
That's where our future comes from. Our vision does not come to us when we're working all day. It
You're
doesn't,
right.
it has no room to.
Yeah.
Leisure time is the time that creates civilization, or civilization is the thing that creates leisure time, or a stubborn black man can create some leisure time so
Right.
that he can build up his mind. I have no problem with seeing you sit still because I know this is never still. Now,
It's
you may
true.
not have it focused on what is going to
It's
be beneficial, but
yeah.
if you leave it alone, it'll eventually get to that. The brain is an amazing thing that we have been
Yeah.
forced to not pay attention to because we've got to be working so hard,
Yeah.
sweating so hard.
You're right. And I'm listening to you because years ago, I say years ago now, over 10 years ago, I retired. I retired. I took an early retirement. I didn't know. I honestly, well, I'll be honest. To say, it was because I felt, led by God to do it, and my principal tried to talk me out of it. And she was like, "You need to stay a few more years. You get a bigger retirement." And I said, "There." And not this. Remember, I had not written a book, by the way, not one book at this time. But I said, if there's anything else I need to do in my life, I need to do it now. I don't need to look up and then I mean, I don't want to say too old to do it or whatever, but I didn't give myself a chance to do it. And right when I was walking out of her office, she said, "Mary, what if you retire and you find nothing?" I was like, that's what she said. It was really like somebody, but I had an answer though. I turned to her and I said, "At least I will know." I did not want to go to my grave and not know. And when I tell you now, Wallace, I don't even want to tell you how many books I've written. And I'm pretty sure I couldn't have done it and worked full time. I had to give my mind a chance to, because she was saying, why don't you do what you want to do and work? And I said, I can't do that. My mind, when I'm getting a paycheck, that's where my mind is. That's what I need to put my energy into. I needed to have my mind free. And when I'm listening to you, that's what I was looking for, freedom of my mind. I didn't even know how important that was until
I declare you free.
I didn't know what it was, Wallace. You laughing. I wasn't laughing. Because I was, but don't get me wrong. I
No,
was,
I'm laughing because I said, I declare you free.
mhm.
You have to declare yourself free. And
I
when
didn't know
you,
what that was. That's what I
well,
did.
that's
Mhm.
the whole point. That's the whole point of outside forces motivating, creating your reason to be.
Yeah.
No, and that's what occurs from a little kid. What are you going to be? I don't know what the parents want you to be. You know what
Goodness.
if you're not blessed to have parents who want you to be happy, who feel enough security amongst themselves to push you to security,
Right.
it's and so that's the first thing is, God, thank you for my mom and my dad.
Whew.
Thank you for Ruth and Wallace. Thank you for the men who my mother married subsequent to her divorce from Wallace.
Right.
They have been good men. Thank you for my grandparents who
Yeah.
made my mother strong enough to only be around. good men.
Right.
This it and
It makes a difference.
it makes a tremendous difference.
That's who we, because of all of those experiences, is who we are. It's
My
who we
father was the guys when we wanted to go get in trouble. The guys say, "No, you can't go because your daddy will get in our butt too." And
see.
he was a dad, and he
Yeah,
was a father, and he didn't just it wasn't just me, and it
right.
wasn't my mother the same way. Bring your friends home. Well, but I thought it was just because they were, yeah, they liked me. No, they wanted to know who my friends were, and they
Yeah,
wanted my friends to know that they knew them,
yeah,
and that they were gonna be good to my friends.
right.
And that's what I want to be to my children's friends, and that's what I want to be to my grandchildren.
Yeah,
How can I care about my kids
right.
who are going to be hanging out with your kids, and I don't care about your kids? That can't happen
It's,
because I don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room.
yeah,
I don't want my kids to be the smartest people in the room. And that's because I want them to be learning. And you cannot learn from people who are not smarter than you.
that's true. That's
Okay.
true.
I mean, even in one corner of darkness, they have to be able to give you something that you couldn't get on
Anywhere
your
else.
own. And
Yeah,
that's otherwise, then you have to leave. Don't be afraid of that part. Don't be afraid to lead, but do not follow simply because, well, it's your turn to follow. I'm sorry.
no, no. Well,
If
I'm a,
it's my turn to follow, you may be getting ready to run off the cliff, and I got to tell you, I'm not going with you. Okay,
right,
I'm not going to rob the bank with you. I'm
right.
not going to drive the car for you.
That,
Uh, I'm not going to have a whole lot of
yeah.
discussion that could be determined as some kind of conspiracy.
Well,
I'm not going to play dumb.
but you
I'm
got to
not going
think
to
for
beat them.
yourself. Is what it is. And this we
That's
have. I'm gonna be honest with you, Wallace. We have so many comments, and I haven't even been able to address them. So what I'm gonna do is do a really quick roll call because I want to make sure everyone has their name announced. And we're gonna start. We said Charles is first. We said go ahead. Hi, Charles again. Then we have Inoko. Greetings of love and peace to all. Hi, Inoko. Then Richard that says, how does the newspaper compete with the internet? I think is what his question is. How do you compete with the internet?
you don't.
You know, that's the end of that.
I mean, you don't compete with it. You have to use it and utilize it and hope that. I tell you, as an entity presenting information, it's not my job to compete with the other entities.
Right.
As a person absorbing information, it's your job to think critically and do not eat the poison.
Ooh.
Okay, there's people. Listen, when I went to school, the school for journalism, went to San Jose State. I majored in Black Studies. My
Right.
minor was in journalism.
Yeah.
I learned the same lessons in journalism that my father taught me on the job. You have to have integrity. You have to have balance. You have to do what you say you're going to do, and you have to be honest about it. Journalism was that way for years and years and years until the internet appeared, and now everybody that has a pen, an internet, an ability to write something, and you're free to write and say what you want to say.
Yeah.
The,
It
the,
doesn't even
the
have to be
onus
true.
the onus isn't on the people who are writing and saying things. We've been around people who say dumb things all the time. Yeah, okay, he's just dumb and leave it alone. But when they write it down and it's got a nice headline on it and maybe a little line down the side that says sponsored by, you say, oh, this must be. No. You have to pay attention to the truth. You have to look for the truth. You have
Right.
to parse those lies to the side. And even a trump card can tell the truth once in a now. A clock, a
Mm.
broken clock is right at least twice a day.
That's
But
right.
it's on us to interpret, to translate, to be inspired by the truth or fooled by the lie. And we
Woo.
cannot say the liar, it's the liar's fault. No, it's your fault. Anybody that knows anything about dominoes, right,
Yep.
has to know that I'm lying about being the world's greatest domino player. They have to know that as many domino games as they've seen, that there is no certification required for you to go out and play dominoes. But a good liar, a good storyteller will
Yep.
fool you for a moment.
Yeah.
And
It's
one
true.
with integrity like me is going to say, don't leave the room with that. I don't
Yeah.
want anybody laughing at you except me. And that's just our laugh. And it's
Right.
not something to make. I'm not trying to make a fool of you. I'm
Right.
trying to be cool with you, but I'm not going to send you off with some false information on purpose, even if it's a joke.
Um, well, I can tell you, we're gonna as I go down this list. These are, and thank you each and every one. I haven't even hit all the comments yet,
Well,
but
get them. I mean, let's go. Go
okay,
through.
they
Let's see.
are. Let's see. Charles, he said it's 1 million cups. And this is Dr. Helena Johnson. She said, hello, Marion Wallace. Gwendolyn Stringer. Hi, Dr. Johnson. Hi, Gwen. She says, it's Marion Wallace. Welcome. Thank you, Gwen. And Gwen is my cousin too. So thank you, Gwen. And then we have Clifford Trailer. Yes, it's my hi, Clifford. I know that we did teach together. Thank you for joining in. We have David Addington. He says, hello, Marion Wallace. And we're going to talk, and David's from Canada. And he has some really good ideas, I think, about some people might want to hear. I think I may have to have David on the show so he can share those. Then with Gwen, he said, license to play dominoes. She's laughed. She said, LOL.
See what I mean?
See?
Great,
So,
great.
so you got it, Gwen.
That's right.
She said, I invite Mr. Wallace to my University of Bidwis when the virus is better. His University of Bidwis. Boy, you guys. Elaine says,
What
hello.
is the tuition? What's the tuition at the university?
Did you hear
I
that,
think
Richard? He said, what's your tuition?
that's amazing. I like the
It
tuition
is.
idea. Mm-hmm.
Hello, Marion Wallace. You are two great people. Happy day. When we can share love, let's share our love. Oh, hi, Elaine. I know Elaine. Elaine's going to be coming on the show because Elaine has she's a wealth of knowledge on scholarships. So we want to definitely have Elaine on. And then we have Sheila. Sheila says, hi, everyone. Hi, Sheila. And Sheila's here almost every single show. Hi, Sheila. It's always good to see you. And David, his comment is, really appreciate your comments on retiring early. And Wallace saying, leisure time creates civilization. It took Jesus 30 years before he started his ministry. Time he had to think and pray, which is true. And Elaine is saying also, love that Wallace is dropping these gems of wisdom. Isn't he? And what did you say? He said free scholarships. I'll tell you, Elaine is the lady. Ladies and gentlemen, Elaine, you may want to put your contact information in there, or at least an email where people can email. Elaine is just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to scholarships. And right now we're in the window for scholarships. If you have seniors or you have someone that's already in college, you definitely want to get in touch with Elaine. One thing we haven't talked about. Now you've been married to your wife. How many years now, Wallace?
Oh, let's see. 49, almost 100 years.
Is that right? Only
Well,
100?
well, it's like 48 for her and 48 for me.
Oh my
So that's what 96. So yeah, we're right in there.
I
We're
love
right in
it.
there. Yeah.
I knew it was. Now, did you meet in college, or did you meet after college? How did you guys meet?
I was living in San Jose,
Okay.
and there was a basketball game in LA near my mother's birthday. And so I came to LA to take my mother to the basketball game for her birthday.
Oh,
And
okay.
and after the birthday, I went to go see a friend of mine that I had met in Atlanta, Georgia. And when I went to see him, he answered the door, and I looked over his shoulder, and I saw this beautiful woman sitting in the back of the house there. So,
Uh huh.
and I said, "Well, hello, Eric," and looked over his shoulder, and oh yeah, because we really could have taken care of our little business right there at the door.
Correct.
But I invited myself in, and I met Josephine, and
Oh,
we met that evening, and I suggested that maybe we could go somewhere, and I told her a lie that evening.
what?
Well, it was a makeup thing, because we were at this club and had a libation or two, and I said, "Oh, that looks like Smokey Robinson over there." She said, where? I said, that is Smokey Robinson. And she said, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? And I just, oh, he's gone. You just missed,
Wallace, in other words, you the same now as you were then.
Oh, except I was much more dashing and handsome and,
Okay.
easier,
But
much more confident.
she
But
fell for it.
she either fell for it or pretended to. Right now, it was you lied to me. Right now she'll say, "Oh, you just lied to me." But at that time, I think she was quite impressed with, my
Mhm.
audio flexibilities and things of that sort. So, but we met. That was August 22nd, 1975,
Okay.
and we got married on December 31st, 1975,
Well,
in Atlanta, Georgia. Uh, Matter of fact, we had a celebrity wedding because she had attended Reverend Abernathy's church all of her life. And when we agreed to get married,
oh my
the
goodness.
next call was to Reverend Abernathy. And he said, well, Josephine,
Wow.
that's watch night. We having watch night. And so we got married on watch night right there at Hunter Street Baptist Church.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, so that was 1975. I don't do the numbers particularly
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
that when you do the numbers hardcore, you live with those numbers. I
Right.
live with the memory, the experience, and all that. And I don't remember age on purpose.
Mm.
I'll remember your birthday, but I'm not hung up on your age.
Right.
And the more your appearance belies your age, the less likely you should be to tell your age. Because if you tell somebody I'll tell
Yep.
them if you say that you're over 60,
Yep.
people start applying the
Yep.
wheelchair and the walking cane and all this stuff to you. And but I do believe that people's attitude in mass
Yep.
has an effect.
Yep.
I believe that if the uh, Aborigines can decide to ignore someone because that person has broken the rules of culture,
Hmm.
and that ignoring them actually rids them of life.
Mm.
You
Hmm.
a group
Yep.
can okay, so there's so much in the power of people and the power of their minds that I don't want a group of people saying, well, Wallace is 90 years old.
Yeah.
I'd
It's
rather you say
true.
I'm 900 because you ask me how old I am, I'll tell you I'm 900 years old. I say it all the time, and it's to represent experience and as much wisdom as possible. But
Yeah.
I don't want you sitting around and trying to think nice thoughts and say, poor 89-year-old Wallace. Uh, I don't want to hear that. I don't want you to say that.
It's true.
I do
You're
believe
telling the
that there's
truth.
a power in
Yep.
what we think.
Yeah.
That's why I don't want us yielding to the Trump cards because
Yeah.
we are the Trump
Yeah.
of the game. If we decide as a we,
Yeah.
I mean, it's so critical. If we decide to not be fractured in
Right.
our approaches,
Right.
like in our banking, if
Mm.
we decide, I don't care if it's a white bank or green bank, but if all of us put our money there and all of us decided today or tomorrow that, that bank ain't doing us right, let's all
Pull our
just
money.
move our money to another place.
Right.
Well, what benefit does it get out? Well, we don't get a benefit except that we inconvenience somebody who decided that they would not convenience us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, if we put all our money together, you should convenience us. So if it's inconvenient for you to convenience us, let me show you something that's really inconvenient. Let's suck our money out and go put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And we just keep doing that. Why? Because there's no benefit to leaving it in one place.
Mm.
Unless we find somebody that says, oh, welcome. I'm so glad to see you guys. Let me show you some benefits.
It's true. It's
What,
true.
what kind of benefit could you give us? Well, you could reduce our insurance costs right away. right away. Because if you bundle us as a banking group and we got
Yes.
10 million of us, hey man, insurance companies will go crazy trying to give you a break.
Oh
Because
yeah.
because we'd be carrying so much power that we would be able to break the little, what do they call it, that index that keeps track of how old you are and how long you'll get to live.
Oh my goodness.
But
I don't. As you were talking, I was thinking that because I just recently
but
heard
we
that.
have so much power if we
But
if
you
we
said if you
decide
work
to accept
together.
that spiritual connection that we have. Now,
Ooh.
sometimes, and we'll admit this, my
Mhm.
wife and I, she'll say, "Well, I can't read your mind," and I said, "Oh, hold it, wait a minute. You can read my mind. When we first met, you read my mind every day. We would say the same thing. We would answer each other's questions.
Mm.
And if you're not reading my mind, it's because you have decided that I am too crazy for you to occupy the mental space with me. And that's what we can do. And as
Mm.
we have those statements and movements,
Uh-huh.
and we realize that we've kind of stepped out, we step back in,
Right.
and we do get back to reading each other's minds to
I
do
like
what
that.
is convenient. I know what's happening, what makes her happy, and
Uh,
if I don't rub her feet, it's because I decided not to rub her feet, but I also decided that I wasn't going to make her happy. What? Oh, excuse me, I'm going to rub your feet.
yeah.
Okay, because I know that it makes you
You
feel
have.
better, and
Yeah.
I know. So don't pretend, I should not, that I didn't know rubbing your feet was going to make you feel better. That's a lie. I knew, and I should rub your feet because it's a
Yeah.
connection. And
It
those
is.
are little simple things like that. That might be why we're still, approaching that 100-year mark of being together.
Well, one thing, it sounds like you just that consideration. You're being considerate to her of you, and you haven't forgot what makes her happy. If you know that makes her happy, why? If you don't want somebody else rubbing her feet, you said no, 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 no. I'm going to take this job so no one else will ever.
Let 2 weeks go by without her saying rub my feet, and I'm saying, who been rubbing your feet? How come you're not asking for a foot rub? What's going on here?
Well, let's see. We have Elaine. She has Elaine has a comment. She says, "Love that whilst I'm dropping the gems, and we have the scholarships, free scholarships, and we have and thank you all, each and every one of you for each of your comments. We love all of them." And then we have Shelly Dansby says, "How did you start your newspaper? How did you get started?" And then
I
we have
started a newspaper in sixth grade. And okay, we started a newspaper in high school, and I started a newspaper with another group of people at San Jose State when I was going to school. So,
it's
did I
in
lose you?
No, no, no. I'm right here. I was listening to you. What you're really saying. It's let me say his comment. This is my husband Oliver. He said, "Hi, Wallace, and welcome to the show." So Oliver, he's the executive producer of the show. Oh, did you? Oh, you lost me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can
Oh,
hear you
okay.
well. I'm
Okay,
going
good.
to get back over to the stream. There we are.
And then Shelley said, she said, it sounds like to me, Wallace, you've had newspapers since elementary school.
I have been involved in writing and doing news and telling stories since then. Absolutely. My mother,
Elementary.
my
Oh,
mother's family, there's 12 children in her family.
mhm.
11 were alive and still, well, we're losing a few at a time now. But
Right.
the greatest day that I would spend in the summers in Mississippi would be after dark, after supper, when my uncles would come in and they'd sit around the fireplace, take off their boots and start lying.
You didn't say start talking. She said start lying.
Well, because let me say this, they were not lies, because if you got caught in a lie, you were in trouble. A
Right.
lie that harmed someone, but telling the stories. Like when they told me stories about the three little pigs, they didn't just tell me the story of the three little pigs. They told me the story of the three little pigs, and they would name their brothers and sisters. Well, Pig Henry, Peggy, and Florence.
Oh
And
my
so those were the three little pigs. And the wolf may have been Uncle Henry or
right.
Uncle Ronnie. So they would always insert. So they would tell stories. But with the stories I loved hearing those stories. They talk about animals in the woods that talk to them. They talk about the
Oh,
horses, all of the stuff on the farm. I had a great childhood. I had great people around me who were fun, who were funny, and who were
mm,
extremely serious about life at the same time.
right.
So this is when you mix all of that up, you come up with a pretty decent kind of stew that you're
Hmm.
able to share a little bit of with other people.
It
So,
sounds like it was.
but starting the newspaper, when I came to San Bernardino, there were the precinct reporter, the American News, the Black Voice. Um, why
You,
did I start a newspaper? Well, that's what I was equipped to do.
it was in you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
in you. I think that this is what I'm noticing in life. Whatever is in you, it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out some type of way. Well, let me ask you this, was as we're nearing the end of the program, what advice would you give someone? Because you not only have the newspaper, you have the radio show. You're a multimedia
They're
corporation,
they're all the same thing. It may sound like a lot of different stuff, but
right?
it's it's just me exploding at different levels at different places. And with the newspaper, it's not my explosion anymore. It's pretty much handled by my son Wallace the Fifth and my editor Miss Naomi Bondman. And then all of the wonderful organizations that we've been able to work with that send us stories, as well
Mhm.
as the ones we were able to go out and capture, which are not that many. We're a
Mm,
small paper. We're not able to go capture stories
right.
like we used to when I was young and vibrant in the streets and only 400 years old. But
But now that you're 900 years old,
we are able to browse and uh, take information that others have put together
mhm,
and work from the internet. There's some really good stuff that the internet is able to provide, and we try to think critically and be very choicey about how we pick and choose things to come from other places to provide and give to you. And
right.
so that kind of works. It's not
Okay,
perfect, but it kind of works. And as we do things, we see that others are doing things. I'm not trying to duplicate. I
right.
I want to empower people.
Yeah,
Okay,
I know exactly what you mean.
it's important that, once again, to not be the smartest person in the room means that you have to do something to empower other people to so that they can reach their potential, and their potential can feed and cause us to ladder step for each other, as I provide for you and you provide for me, and that provides inspiration for anybody that can see what we're doing.
Right.
And that's important. And it's important to be true to our culture, because our culture is the only culture I'm aware of that welcomes everybody,
Yeah.
even in a hand of cards where we need no trumps. We are accepting of a trump card.
We do. We
Yes,
do.
we do. We
Uh-huh.
look at affirmative action. We didn't raise hell and holler and scream when the statistics show that white women were the number one beneficiaries, are the number one beneficiaries
That's right.
of affirmative action.
That's right.
And we still are saying, hey, we need that. While the white man, the same one who wants to hold us down, hold his wife down, hold his girlfriend down,
Right.
hold everybody down, is saying, despite the fact that white women are the beneficiaries,
Right.
they don't even want affirmative action
Oh
because
my goodness.
because of that.
Well,
Uh,
I'll tell you, not that I want to end because I really don't, but we are running short of time. So I want to thank
oh,
you.
isn't that's just too bad? We don't
I
have enough time.
know. Yeah.
Black folks don't have enough time to be black folk. Ain't that a mess? But that's what we're talking about. We need to
Yeah.
take the time. And I don't mean, I appreciate being on your show. I know that you didn't get everywhere you wanted to get,
Yes.
but that's all. Maybe you'll invite me back again.
I will invite you
Okay.
back. We'll be glad to have you back. That's for sure. So thank you. Thank you for spending some time with us this afternoon. It's
Can
really
I
great.
can I try to steal some of your audience?
You can, if you can do
Okay.
it in the next 5 seconds.
Pay attention to Mary. She'll let you guys know how you can hear and see Empire Talks Back, the radio show, every Sunday morning. And we depend on those replays because I know a lot of you guys are at church, and I'm so glad to hear that. And the preaching that I do, I will say this, there's no tithe necessary. Except that we do want you to be good and help the community and be better at helping yourself. But we're on KCAA radio. Uh, I don't know how to tell people to do that stuff, but we're there. If you're looking for us, you'll find us. And if you're not looking for us, send Mary your email and say, send it to Wallace and send it to me, and I'll be sure you guys get the paper and the radio show every week. Mary, thanks
Thank
again. I
you.
really appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you too. And thank you again for coming, Wallace.
God is a blessing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ending the broadcast for today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will see all of you next Monday. Bye-bye, everybody.